Bang. Neeves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife Kara's not with us today. Today we are checking out the Giant Mouse Iona, which is a Vox slash Anzo design. This is an M390 and FRN handle material. This goes for just under $100. So right around $99. I saw it on Blade HQ. I do want to say thank you really quick to Abby for sending these to us, sending us this knife and other knives, and paying for all the shipping and handling for getting here and sending it back. So not only did he send us content for the channel, but he paid for the shipping here and for us to ship it back. That helps us out so much, and it means a lot to us. Thank you very much, Abby. We are going to just talk about the things I like about the knife and the things I dislike about the knife. First up, really quick, here's this quick size comparison. It's just a little bit under the length of the Benchmade bug out and the Benchmade Griptilian. It's a little bit larger than. So it's right in between these two. It's almost the size of the small Griptilian, the mini grip. Okay. This is a great deal for M390, and there is a lot of good here, but then there is some bad. So the ergos, in my opinion, are pretty good. The clip is a wire clip, which works fairly well, and you do feel it a little bit back in here as you do most wire clips, but I usually take smaller knives and usually use them like this more. But if you are going to be doing push cuts, you can creep up just a little bit and kind of get past this. Well, at least with my size hand. I do have larger size hands. I'm 6 foot tall, so. But the action is great. I love the thumb studs. The thumb studs work really well. It's very smooth. I know lots of people tend to use that the term Sabenza smooth, and that's what it kind of reminds me of, at least on the opening up when I slow roll it. It is on phosphor bronze washer, so that might be the reason why. Sharpening this knife, I did sharpen it up. The M390 seems like it's pretty decent. I did use it a little bit. This is not my knife, so it's not like I can beat the heck out of it or anything, but I did use it in a safe way of which it wouldn't hurt the blade. Cutting up a little bit of cardboard, stuff like that, and I put a new edge on it, and it went fairly well. This did have a factory edge, so, you know, it didn't seem like it was too burnt, but I will say the blade geometry wasn't the best. They didn't do the best job on the blade geometry. It was off, and I could see that from the factory edge, and then also while sharpening it I could tell it's like it's a little bit off from side to side. If you notice also, this isn't a full flat, and it's just a tiny bit off from one side to the other. Not that big of a deal, considering this is only a $100 knife. You know, once you get over $100, you can really critique those things, but this is M390, so for under $100. I'm not a huge fan of FRN, but they do make this knife in other handle materials. So if FRN is not your bag, they do make it in aluminum, and I believe G10. So my biggest gripe with this thing is the liner. I can't stand that liner. Look at that. You can't get to it. I mean, obviously I've been getting to it, but it's so tight in there. You got to like wedge your finger. I don't know what they were thinking with that. That to me is a huge thing to miss, especially when you had all the room to make a little cutout there. You see where they made that little cutout right there. They could have just recessed it back a little bit, even back to this line right here. If they would have just did that, it would have been fine. But somebody with larger hands is definitely going to have a hard time with this liner. Now, I like kind of figured out how to wedge my finger in there just right, but it is not comfortable. I don't enjoy doing that. So that's its fatal flaw to me. The other bad thing is, like I said, the blade geometry. is off a little bit. They did hit the plunge grind, which I love when a knife company can do that, because with knives, we're going to sharpen them. So I love it when a knife company does put that in consideration and does think about the fact that somebody's going to be sharpening it. Now, the thing with the blade geometry being off a little bit, you know, that to me, with a knife at this price for this blade steel, is neither here nor there. It's fine. This is a cutting tool. This is a tool. It's not going to hurt your cutting performance. Yeah, for what it will hurt your cutting performance, it's so minimal that you will never notice it, really. It's just going to irritate you when sharpening it, and then you're looking from side to side and looking at the bevels lining up, and when you have your angle sharpening, you know, it might be a little bit off on one side, stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, it's very minimal, and it wasn't that bad. It's not as bad as I'm making it seem, I don't think. They did use T8s all the way around, which I love that. They are only one side, you see. Sorry, I didn't realize it was blurry. There we go. Okay, you see this, they did do T8s all the way around. I love that. I think that is amazing. And not only did they use T8s, they... doggone focus. They use really well done T8s. I mean, this is some really good hardware, and I do like that about Giant Mouse. At least this one and one other one I seen. That the hardware is really well done. I don't feel like I've heard anybody ever complain about their hardware, but I do like when they use T8s all the way around. The clip, like I said, works really well. You would think maybe with this little bit of bumpage right there that it wouldn't go in and out of the pocket, but it does just fine. It is pretty much centered. It's maybe off a tiny bit, but I could probably just take a little turn of the pivot and it'd probably be right back. So it's centered. Don't think it's not, because it is. I could literally probably just turn the pivot a tiny drop and it would be right there. You can middle finger flick this knife if I'm not putting my finger in the way. It does take a little bit of thought behind it because of your fingers and the pressure. You have to build up the pressure, and then it works just fine. But as long as you are good at building up the pressure, you kind of got to use your skin, though. You use your skin right behind there. You don't really use your nail. I mean, I guess you can use your nail. I'm going to hit the camera, guys. You guys know that. You can use your nail, but to me, in my opinion, I use the fat a little bit, and then, so you definitely got to think about it. But yeah, just like that. I use the fat just a little bit, and it seems to work pretty good. It's not a way that you're gonna probably deploy it very often. You're mostly going to use your thumb, because the thumb action is just incredible. I do really like the thumb action, and also the thumb studs, they're very grippy, which I like, especially when a knife is its main deployment, or only deployment, only deployment is thumb studs. You do need sharp thumb studs, at least to the extent that it bites your finger in a positive way. You can reverse the clip to the other side, which is cool, I guess, for lefties, because this knife would be ambidextrous aside from the liner. But to be honest, this liner is probably easier to disengage left-handed than it is right-handed. I mean, that's crazy, right? Being a right-handed knife, you would think, but because of the angle you got to put your finger in, it almost works easier pulling back on it. Sometimes I find myself spinning it like this and just using my pointer. That seems to be a lot easier for me, and it just gets annoying trying to wedge my finger in there, especially if I keep flicking it and flicking it. It'll start tearing my thumb up. And but yeah, this thing, it's a good knife. I'll give it that. It's a good knife. It's M390. It's under $100. The blade steel seems to be okay. I mean, all I did was sharpen it and use it a few times, so I can't go as far as saying it's going to have amazing edge retention, but M390 is very stain resistant, which is a huge plus with pocket knives, especially one that you're going to be using to cut anything. You do want, you do want it to be stain resistant, and it is a stainless steel. So, and as long as its heat treatment is good, it's going to have good edge retention. And if not, you know, it's going to be about like the equivalency of S35 edge retention. But if it has a good heat treat, you're going to have, you know, even better performance than S35, far better. So it is what it is. It's a great knife. It does have a couple problems. My biggest thing with it, my biggest gripe, is that liner lock. I mean, I just feel like they totally missed the ball on that. But love you guys. Peace.